ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद् दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। In communication in general and writings in particular, one can be brief at the cost of clarity, or one can be clear at the cost of brevity. But it needs a genius to be both clear and brief without any repetition. In literature, repetition is considered as a serious defect. They say, Ardhamatra laghavena putrotsavam manyante vayyakaranaha. Vayyakarana, grammarians means literary experts. They consider while they are writing Ardhamatra laghavena, even if they are able to reduce the writing by even half a syllable, putrotsavam manyante, they consider it as an occasion to celebrate like the birth of a son. So means it is something that they can make the work light at the same time more impressive. That may be so in the case of literature. But in case of teaching, repetition is unavoidable wherever that is necessary. Because the teacher's main concern is to make the student understand what he is going to teach. So therefore, repetition is necessary. At the same time, one has to also give in nutshell what the subject matter is. So for effective teaching, both the method of elaborate and the brief methods are very useful. So they say, Vistah sangrahabhyam uktaha arthaha samyak jnayate. So whatever that is taught, Vistara sangrahabhyam, in elaborate manner, at the same time briefly, uktaha arthaha, whatever that is taught in such manner, with elaborately and briefly, so samyak jnayate, it is very well understood. So in this context, especially Vedanta, to make the subject matter very, very clear, we have got the help of the texts what are called as Prakarana Granthas. So Prakarana Granthas do play a very important role in the unfoldment of Vedanta beside the Shastras, or the Shastras which establish the truth. So the truth that is established by the Shastras is further elaborated in the Prakarana Granthas. Generally, Prakarana Granthas are translated as elementary treatises. But Prakarana Grantha need not necessarily be elementary in the subject matter. So, of course, there are many Prakarana Granthas which are elementary in nature, but they need not be so. For example, Vivek Chudamani. No doubt it is very elementary in the beginning. But once the half of the text is over, the subject matter rises to such a height. So that means the clear vision without any compromise is given. So, for other example can be taken as Upadesha Sastri. It is not at all an elementary treatise at all. It is the subject matter is so high in that. So it is best we can put the Prakarana Grantha as the topic-wise treatises. That is better. The subject-wise or the topic-wise treatises, we can say that is a better way of putting the Prakarana Grantha. They research elsewhere, say how that is. Shastraika desha sambadham Shastra karyantare sitam ahu prakaranam nama grantha vedam vipashchitaha. What is the Prakarana Grantha? Shastraika desha sambadham. A Prakarana Grantha is connected to the Shastraika Desha, a part of the Shastra. So it speaks of a particular topic or a subject of the Shastra. Shastraika Desha Sambandham Shastra Karyantare Sthitam. But its job, the purpose of this Prakarana Grantha is something other than the Shastra. For that we have to see what is the purpose of Shastra. The purpose of the Shastra is to establish and unfold the truth. As we are talking about Vedanta. So what exactly is the truth? So that is being unfolded in the Shastra. For necessary, other schools of thought also are refuted in the context. So that is the job of the Shastra. But the Shastra has no leisure to find out whether the student has understood or not. Its main concern is to, that means unfold the truth. The student, there may be some difficulty on the part of the student to understand, but the Shastra has no leisure because it has got its own limit to, at least to write or whatever that is to establish. But Prakarana Granthas does that job. So Shastraika Desha Sambandham Shastra Karyantare Sthitam. So the purpose of Prakarana Grantha is Shastra Karyantara. Its purpose is other than the Shastra. So what is that we'll see afterwards. What is the purpose of the Prakarana Granthas? Shastra Karyantare Sthitam Ahuhu Prakaranam Nama Grantha Bhedam Vipashitaha. So Vipashita, the wise people say, so that is what is called as the Prakaranam Nama Grantha Bhedam. So it is a Grantha Bheda, it is a division, a part of the Grantha text which is called as the Prakarana. So now what is this Shastra Karyantara? So what is the purpose of the Prakarana Granthas, which is rooted, of course, the subject matter is rooted in the Shastra, but it is something different from the Shastra. What is that subject? What is the purpose of that? So that is that to make the student understand. So what exactly is that? Taking into account his difficulty, also substantiate the subject matter that is unfolded by the Shastra with the help of logic, etc. Logic and also one's own intimate experience, Swanubhava, the experience of the author. The coupling with this to make it more and more clear, that is the purpose of the Shastra, Prakarana Granthas. Elsewhere it is said, Prakaranenu Shastra Nirnita Artha, so Yuktya Swanubhavena Pariposhya, so Bodhaitum Shakyate. What can be done in the Prakarana Grantha? Prakaranenu Shastra Nirnitaha Nirnitorthaha, the Artha, the subject matter which is ascertained. Shastra Nirnitorthaha, the subject matter which has been ascertained by the Shastra. So same thing, what is done? So Yuktya, then Swanubhavena cha Pariposhya, enriching that. So means supporting the same findings of the Shastra by Yukti, the logic, wherever that is necessary. Swanubhavena cha, by the Aparoksha Anubhava, the first-hand knowledge of the master who is writing that textbook. So Pariposhya, enriching that. Bodhaitum Shakyate, because he has got little free, that means elbow room in the Prakarana Grantha. The master has got that elbow room to deal in detail the subject matter which in the Shastra it is not possible for him to do. Also, what is done is Sadhananushtanam Prakarasya. So the Anusthana Prakara, Vistarena Bodhaitu, Sadhakanam Anugrahaya Vistarena Bodhaitum Shakyate. The Anusthana Prakara. Maybe the student is not yet ripe enough or mature enough to grasp the truth unfolded in the Vedanta. He needs certain adjustments in his personality for a karma yoga, etc. All these sadhanas are necessary. So the Vedanta directly it may not deal with that, but these are necessary for him in terms of sadhana so that he can equip his mind to gain the knowledge. So those sadhanas also have to be told in detail. So Anusthana Prakarasya, so Vistarena Sadhakanam Anugrahaya Bodhaitum Shakyate. It is possible for the master to give in detail the different methods of sadhana so that he can equip himself to grasp the truth that is contained in the Vedanta. Also, the third job of the Prakarana Grantha can be like this. See, Paramatatpare Vishaye Brahmatmaike eva avasthaya. So, Shravanantara bhavi manane kalayapanam bhavati. So Paramatatparya Vishaye Brahmatmaike eva avasthaya. So what is the Tatparya, essence of Vedanta? The final essence, the final truth that is established in Vedanta is Brahmatmaikya Vishaya. So Paramatatparya Vishaye Brahmatmaikya eva avasthaya. All the time being rooted in the subject matter of Vedanta, that is Brahmatmaikya, not deviating from the ultimate truth. Avasthaya. Shravanantara bhavi manane kalayapanam bhavati. So, with the help of Prakarana, what you can do is Shravanantara bhavi. After Shravana, what comes? Manana. After Shravana, Manana comes. Shravana is over. Manana, no. Shravana, at the time of Shravana, Manana is taken care of, no doubt. But more Manana can be taken in that means can be taken to also after the Shravana. Shravanantara bhavi manane. So, Kalayapanam bhavati. The time is spent. So that after Shravana, you dwell on whatever that is unfolded in the Shravana, the Vedanta. So you spend the time in that Kalayapanam bhavati. So for that, Prakarana Granthas help a lot because they make use of the logic. In this way, so the Prakarana Granthas are very useful. So they are not just the elementary treatises, but besides that, they also deal with, that means they help the speaker to take to manana effectively, and that way they are helpful. Now Panchadashi, I have been told that 10th and 15th chapters have been taken to you. So therefore, it is good. You are already conversant with Panchadashi. Still, few things I may repeat in the beginning. Panchadashi is a Prakarana Grantha. It makes use of logic to a great extent wherever that is necessary. So the author of that you already know is Vidyaranya. So Vidyaranya, earlier was called as the Madhavacharya. So Madhavacharya. It is said, a little historical event as such, it is said that in the Vijayanagar Empire, which was earlier called as Anegundi, so there the king was Jambukeshwara, and he got defeated in a particular battle. At that time when King Jambukeshwara was defeated, so a great scholar there in that kingdom, so he was being tapas in the temple of Sri Bhuvaneshwari. So he was invoking the goddess Bhuvaneshwari for the sake of seeking the wealth. So he was poor. He was a great scholar. At the same time he was very poor. So he was doing great tapas to seek the wealth. And he did a great tapas. And finally goddess Bhuvaneshwari gave him the vision. But she said, look, in this birth you are not entitled to get wealth. But one thing can be done. Whomsoever you bless, that person will be blessed by wealth. So, okay, that is fine. So therefore, God has blessed him. And that same person is none other than Madhavacharya, who became later as Swami Vidyaranya. So he blessed the king Hukka, Harihara, first Harihara, Hukka, and the Vijayanagar Empire was established afterwards. Harihara's brother was Bukka, Hukka's brother was Bukka, and Bukka's son was second Harihara. It is said that Vidyaranya, before this, so that he took the sannyasa, he was also the minister of this Hukka or first Harihara. There is some little confusion about the name it seems. Because at that time there are three Madhavas available. Historically we find that there are three Madhavas. One Madhavacharya, who is our Vidyaranya. There was Sayana Madhava, you know. Sayana Madhava was the brother of Madhavacharya, who has written the commentary on the Vedas. Sayana Madhavacharya. There was also third Madhava, Madhava Mantri, a minister Madhava. I think that minister Madhava and Madhavacharya are mixed. And that's why it is said that Vidyaranya was the minister of Harihara. It may not be so because there are evidences to show that Madhava Mantri was entirely different from Madhavacharya. Because you said Madhava Mantri, Pratapi Yodha, Prachanda Panditaha Pratapi Yodha. So he was a great Madhava Mantri, not Madhavacharya. Madhava Mantri was a great warrior, at the same time was a scholar also. He said. Why there are these two, Madhavacharya and this Madhava Mantri are so? Because there are evidences to the effect to show that the mother of Madhava Mantri is different from that of Madhavacharya. Madhava Mantri had no brothers. Madhavacharya of course had, Vidyaranya had of course the brothers. Gotra is different. Their gurus are different. So from these evidences it is clear that Madhava Mantri must be different from Madhavacharya. Or at the most there may be other, besides Madhavacharya as a minister, Madhava Mantri also another minister, maybe that may be there, but we are not bothered about that, it is not our concern. So therefore this Vidyaranya is the, earlier Madhavacharya, after Vidyaranya, he is the author of the text Panchadasi, but it is not totally written by him. There is a co-authorship of Bharati Tirtha also. So it is said the first 6 chapters are written by Vidyaranya and rest the 9 are written by Bharati Tirtha. There is some difference of opinion here also. Some say 6 plus 9. There is one Swami Nishchal Das who has also written a commentary. He puts it as 10 plus 5. The 10 are written by Vidyaranya and last 5 by Bharati Tirtha. So Ramakrishna, who has written a tika which is popularly available, he puts it as, in the 7th chapter only he categorically mentions that it is written by Bharati Tirtha, but he is silent about the other chapters. For from the prayers etc. that he offers, it appears he is of the opinion that the first 6 chapters are by Vidyaranya Muni and the subsequent 9 are by this Bharati Tirtha. Whatever it may be, and other tikakaras also opine that 6 plus 9, first 6 Vidyaranya and the subsequent 9 by Bharati Tirtha. There are about 7 or 8 tikas available on this. Generally what is available is Ramakrishna tika. Now, recently I saw that Achyutray Modak's tika also. So that is recently at Lucknow it is published. So Ramakrishna tika, that is popularly that is available, readily available as such. So there are others also by Ramananda Tirtha or someone written. And from Andhra there is one gentleman called Raya Prallu Lingan Somayaji or someone, but that book may not be available nowadays as such. It's a very old book as such. So there are few tikas available there. So now in Panchadasi, so Panchadasi, what Vidyaranya does is, so he unfolds the Shruti with the help of the logic. Shrutyartham vishadi kurmaha na tarkad vachmi kinchana. So look, listen, what am I doing is that Shrutyartham vishadi kurmaha. I am unfolding and explaining the artha that is told in the Shruti. This is a statement by him only in the one of the chapters. I think 7th chapter of Bharati Tirtha or somebody has told. Shrutyartham vishadi kurmo na vachmi kinchana tarkad na kinchana vachmi. So I am not telling something based on the pure logic as such. What I am doing is unfolding the Shrutyartha. Tarkyatam ma kutarkyatam. So he says that Shrutyartham vishadi kurmaha na tarkad vachmi kinchana tasmat mumukshus shrutimeva ashraye. So what mumukshu has to do is he has to take refuge to Shruti. Not that tarka is not necessary. Tarka is necessary. In fact, reasoning, logic is necessary to understand better. So that is what elsewhere it is said. See, yukti yukto vacho graham baladapi shukadapi. Yukti hinam vachastyajyam vruddhadapi shukadapi. Yukti yukto vacho graham. A vachaha, a statement which is given to reasoning, which is given to logic. Graham has to be accepted. But sir, one who has told, do you know who told that? A statement has been made or something has been told which is given to reasoning. But it has been told by a bala. Bala means a child. Maybe one who has made the statement may be a child, but it is worthy to be accepted. Baladapi shukadapi. Or the same statement has been made by not a bala but a shuka. Shuka means who? Parrot. Other shuka will come after us. Vyasa's son shuka will come in the next line. So baladapi shukadapi. Maybe it has been made by a child or parrots. You know? Parrots can they can repeat whatever that they are fed with. Is it not? So therefore, a parrot has been taught something, but it is given to reasoning. Only because the parrot repeats, we need not reject it. We can take lesson from that, we can accept the statement. So Yukti yukto vachograhyam baladapi shukadapi. Yuktihinam vachastyajyam vruddhadapi shukadapi. There is statement yuktihinam, not given to reasoning. But do you know who made it? Vruddha, Vasishta Vamadevadayaha. Great persons like Vasishta Vamadeva. Vruddha means a great master, elderly person who has got authority as such. But even though such great masters might have made that statement, Yuktihinam vachastyajyam vruddhadapi shukadapi. No, this Shuka is not earlier Shuka. This Shuka is our Vyasa's son Shuka. Maybe such a great celebrated sage Vyasa's son Shuka made it, but Yuktihinam vachaha. But you can dispense with that without any hesitation. So there is, therefore, we do need the help of reasoning, and any statement should be in line with the reasoning. But certainly tarka has got its own limit. Tarkyatam ma kutarkyatam. Certainly you take to tarka. So ma kutarkyatam. Don't take to the tarka which is just mere dialectical argument. Means arguments for the sake of argument which has no basis with the. We have to make use of the tarka which is in consonance with the Shruti. Shruti sammata tarka. So I have to elaborate about tarka. Means tarka is made use of, and the first chapter, I am just giving a caution, first chapter is not that easy. Not that easy in the sense, it is Vedanta aspects are easy, but tarka comes here and there, and you will have little rough weather here and there about when the tarka comes. If you are not attentive, if you are attentive, no, not so problem, sir, don't worry about that. So little that tarka is there, and the Panchadasi is it is a Nyaya Grantha, that is Prakarana Grantha, no doubt, but it is, though it is not a celebrated Nyaya Grantha, but it makes use of Nyaya here and there. So if you go to places like Hardwar, Rishikesh, if a brahmachari goes to a celebrated master and wants to learn Vedanta, first thing they will do is they will blast Panchadasi. And if he survives, then afterwards the rest of the Veda, and most of them, they get flabbergasted with all that comes and they run away. So a few people will just stick to that, that is the Panchadasi. But of course, it need not be done that way. After some basis of Vedanta, if this is taken, it's a very, very interesting textbook, except for the first chapter afterwards. And after the course that is over, means with the substantial basis of Vedanta, when you have leisure, you can read for all chapters. You may not be taught, I think. So you can study of yourself. Is really a good chapter, text for manana also. Anyway, so now tarkyatam ma kutarkyatam. So tarkyatam, certainly take to tarka, but ma kutarkyatam. Don't take to illogic, something just for the sake of argument. Please don't enter into that. So it should be Shruti Sammata Tarka. In Kathopanishad we have seen Naishamatihi Tarkena Apaneya. So this mati, this knowledge of oneself, Tarkena na apaneya, na apaneya, na prapaneya. So it cannot be gained, or also na apaneya. This knowledge cannot be dismissed by tarka. Neither it can be gained by tarka, nor it can be dismissed by tarka. Nahi tarkasya nishtha kvachid vidyate. Either you must have already come, or you will come in the bhasya, katha bhasya. Tarkasya nishtha kvachid na vidyate. There is no, for tarka, there is no nishtha. Nishtha, the finality, the end, the conclusiveness is not there at all in the case of tarka. Even tarka, see, tarka shastra, nyaya, if you study the first books like Tarka Sangra, etc., then what will happen? You will say, oh, this is what is the Tarka Shastra. But if you go a little further and read different authors, you will find that they go on improvising the thing, and there is no end to any definition, there is no end to anything at all. And at times, even great masters, they enter into such an argument, which is really a superb brainwave. So really a great thing. But at times even ridiculous. They do that, they take to that. But it is helpful. Nyaya is helpful, Tarka is helpful. We do also make use of that, and it is only because of the difficulty it should not, that means be indifferent toward that. But to what extent it is helpful, it is blessing, we have to certainly make use of that. So, tarkyatam ma kutarkyatam. So certainly make use of the tarka, and they never take to Kutarka. So this way, so that is the Panchadashi makes use of the Tarka, and it is called Panchadashi. You must have already known that Panchadashi because it has got 15 chapters. So 15 chapters, that is the Asmin Granthe Panchadasha Prakaranani Santi. So Panchadasha Prakaranani Asmin Granthe Santi iti Sri Pratyayena. So it is Panchadashi. Actually it is in the sense of Matup. So Matup direct, it can't be feminine word. There's a niche, this suffix is used by making use of so many Panini rules, and finally it has been made as Panchadashi, which contains 15 chapters. Now here you should be careful. Panchadashi means that which has got 15 chapters. What we are studying is Vedanta Panchadashi, that Vedanta is understood. So Vedanta is understood because anybody writing some text and having 15 chapters can be called as Panchadashi. In fact, it happened 14 years back. I ordered a book. I saw a catalog and a book of Shankaracharya, Shatashloki. Many of you must have read and heard also. Shatashloki. I saw one tika, which tika I thought was a little strange name of the tikakara was there. I said, let me have it. Of course, I was not to study at that time as such. Just to have that book, I said, I ordered Shatashloki. And the book came. From Varanasi, the book came. I was just curious to know what it is, and at random I was glancing the pages. I said, what is this? Everything appears to be Greek and Latin. I said, still I just saw the last, even the first stanza, which I was familiar. Drishtanto naiva drishta tribhuna jatare sadguru jnana dhatu. I was familiar with that. Even that is also not there. What is this? Again, after 5 minutes, I was just looking here and there. I could not make a head or tail of that. I then suspected whether it's Sanskrit or Ardhamagadi, or there is a language called Ardhamagadi also. So the script is Devanagari only, it was Sanskrit. Then I got hold of a particular stanza and took the tika of that. When I saw the tika, there are names of all the herbs, some chikitsa, all that. And the book turned out to be a book, Ayurvedic book on some surgery. Some chikitsa, Shalya chikitsa. Shalya chikitsa means surgery. I said, my God, I took the catalog and verified. The book is appearing in the Vedanta section. And I thought, when I wrote back to that bookseller, my dear sir, please put this book here in the because they were selling Ayurveda books also. So I think, and the book was very old, and the moment I ordered it came, possibly what would have happened was, the book was in the Vedanta section, and no Ayurvedic student knew about the book, and he was carrying enough stock of it to continue further. So afterwards he was kind enough to refund the money also as well. So like that. Now Shatashloki, there is Vedanta Shatashloki, Ayurveda Shatashloki also. There was Shatashloki means what? That which contains 100 stanzas. So therefore it is also possible. It is understood because we are studying Vedanta. Vidyaranya Muni is not a Ayurvedic Vaidya, okay? So don't expect Ayurveda here. So it is Veda only. So that is Vedanta. So the Vedanta Panchadashi. Or it can be Panchadhikanam. That is, you can take it as Panchadhikanam, Dashanam, Prakarananam, Samaharaha. So Samara, Vibhu compound. So numerical determinative compound it can be taken. So Panchadhikanam, Dashanam, Prakarananam, Samaharaha. So a collection of the 10 plus, that's all, the 10 plus 5 chapters. There also finally it takes a Sri Pratyaya, feminine affix, Ni Pratyaya it takes, and it becomes Panchadashi. Someone else gave a very interesting explanation of Panchadashi. So this is, of course, this all mean that Panchadashi means finally, however, whichever way you take, it means Panchadashi means which has got 15 chapters, that's all, nothing more than that. Now, one Tikakara gave a very interesting meaning for Panchadashi. He says, Pakshantau Panchadashyau. It says, as per Amarkosha. No, Amarkosha, what is Amarkosha? Sanskrit lexicon, dictionary of Sanskrit, popular one written by Amar Silva. There he gives Pakshantau Panchadashyau. What is Pakshanta? The end of the fortnight is Pakshanta. End of the fortnight is either Amavasya or Purna. So the new moon or the full moon. So therefore, so Pakshantau, the two ends of the fortnight, Panchadasya. So this is what Amar Kosha says. So that's the meaning. I verified also. Yes, it is so. It is Amar Kosha gives that. So the full moon Purnima is taken. Okay, maybe Panchadashi may mean Purnima, but still, what are you going to do with this? Vedanta textbook as such. He says, he takes. Of course, it's a very nice argument. He is not totally wrong as such, and it gives it throws a lot of light on the content of the text also. It can be taken, though it may not, we did not go round about the way, but it is a very good explanation. So you take the full moon, Purnima. Okay. Then, from Purnima, he comes to moonlight. Purnima means what? Full moon, the day of full moon. From full moon, he comes to the full light, moonlight as such. How? He takes the implied meaning of the Purnima, like what is called like Manchaha Kroshanti. So this Lakshana Vritti I am going to come, the context is going to come. It is premature to discuss now Lakshana Vritti. In its implied sense. For the timing you just take in the implied sense. For example, a statement is made, Manchaha Kroshanti. Literally it means cots are crying. Is it possible? Cots are crying. Cots can't cry. Means the persons on the cot are crying. Suppose you go to a hospital and the cancer ward is there. So many cancer patients are there. They are in agonizing pain. They are crying. Manchaha Kroshanti. Or it can be better, we can say. Cradles are crying. Some maternity has nothing to go with that. So many cradles, babies are there. And one fellow starts weeping or crying, what happens? The contagious disease there. So all start crying. So like that, cradles are crying. Cradles can't cry. The babies in the cradles are crying like that. That's the implied sense. Lakshana Vritti definition will come afterwards because the context is going to come. So like that, from Purnima, Panchadashi, which our context is, from Panchadashi the meaning is Purnima. From Purnima he takes the full moonlight. Okay, full moonlight, still what? He said, look here. See, in the scorch, that means in the summer afternoon, you were scorching in the heat of the sun. Not this ashram here, present it is. So that is a north India, Rishikesh, etc. No, the temperature is too high. And night time, if it is a full moon day, the cool moonlight, what does it do? It comforts, is it not? So like that, a jidnyasu, a mumukshus, who wants to know he wants to gain a knowledge of concept. So atmajnana he wants to gain. Therefore what did he take to the ascertainment of the Advaita Jnana. So the Aikya of Jiva and Brahma, and for which he has to study so many textbooks. And they are so difficult, it was just like getting scorched in the summer sun. So unto that person, so if he comes in the night and there is cool, that is the moonlight is there, how pleasing and comforting. So for a jidnyasu who is scorched by the heat of the study of Vedanta to ascertain the Tattva-Viveka, unto him Panchadashi is like the cool and comforting moonlight because it deals the subject matter so in a very pleasant way, yes, sir. In a simple manner. But as I told you, except first chapter, because you may face little rough weather here and there. It may not be smooth sailing all along as such. Not that it may be just 5 or 6 turns, that's all. Rest all very easy. Yes, sir. Easy means very, very beautiful unfoldment is there. So that's why he says Panchadashi means moonlight. Okay, we can take it. There's nothing wrong in taking that meaning. So Panchadashi. So that's why. So with this Panchadashi, so that is, it has got 15 chapters also, and they say these 15 chapters are divided in 3 sections. This is all that is, not that the author has done so, afterwards who have studied, they could see that is the pattern of the subject matter that is discussed is like this. Just as Gita is said to be like the unfoldment of Tattva-Viveka, is it not? 6 chapters, 3, the divisions of 6 chapters. Like that, here somebody saw that Panchadashi can be taken as unfoldment of Sat, Chit, Ananda. The first 5 chapters, Viveka Prakarana, so are taken as the unfoldment of the Sat aspect. Then the Deepa Prakaranas, the 6 to 10 are taken as unfoldment of the Chit aspect. The last 5 are the Ananda Panchaka. So 5 are as unfoldment of the Ananda aspect. It's just a way of viewing, that's all. That is not that first 5 chapters deal with only Sat aspect only and not other, not that. But predominantly this is discussed there, and that way actually the text starts, and it's a good way of that, so explaining as such. And about the authorship, it is said that perhaps Vidyaranya Muni took to the writing of Panchadasi, and he could not complete it, and he took samadhi, and thereafter Bharati Tirtha wrote this particular, completed. That is what is said, but I think that may not be totally correct, because chronologically Bharati Tirtha had taken samadhi earlier than Vidyaranya Muni. It seems possibly at Bombay there is a place nearby, a place called Vasai, what is called as Vasai. Near Vasai is about 40-50 kilometers from Bombay as such. Near Vasai there is a place called Nirmal. Most probably Vidyaranya Samadhi may be there, because at Nirmal they claim that there is a Samadhi of Shankaracharya. It cannot be Adi Shankaracharya. Vidyaranya Muni also was the pontiff of Sringeri Mutt. Maybe that at that time, particular time, Vidyaranya Muni had been to Punjab, and via Gujarat he was returning to south. Maybe on the way it was a time for him to shed the body, possibly it may be so. But anyway, the samadhi taken by Bharati Tirtha is much earlier and many years earlier than Vidyaranya Muni. So therefore it may not be that Vidyaranya Muni took samadhi and therefore the book was incomplete, and Bharati Tirtha wrote, may not be, it may be just a co-authorship of these two. So now, first beginning with now, the author offers the Mangalacharana. For the first chapter, take first chapter, Tattva-Viveka Prakarana. So by now you are conversant in the purpose of Mangalacharana. So Mangalacharana is for the successful completion, means to just ward off any obstruction, if at all they are there in the pursuit. For that the prayers are offered, because the success of any endeavor depends on 3 factors. Prayatna. So you have to put forth the effort. Then you have to wait for certain period of time, Kala. So these 2 factors are within our reach. So we can put forth the effort, we can wait for certain sufficient period of time, but there is third factor, what is called as Daivam. So Daivam, a third factor, Daivam, over which we have no direct control, because it is guided by our past karma, the results of our past actions. So it may be favorable, it may not be favorable. If favorable, well and good. But if it is not favorable, so we have to do something to counteract the adverse effect of the past karma. All that we can do is, we can't change the karma, nor we can change the karma, they are already over. So we have already committed that. So all that we can do is pray to the Lord that, oh Lord, please see that these do not affect in our pursuit. Therefore the prayers are offered. Mangalacharana is being done. So here it is done with the intention of the this Parisamapti Prachayagamanabhyam Shishtacharya Paripraptam Ishtadevata Guru Namaskar Lakshanam Mangalacharanam. This is Ramakrishna Tika. This is Granthasya Avignena Parisamapti. So this Grantha, so this particular text should be completed without any vigna, without any obstruction. So without any obstruction, for that this Prachayagamana means it should be beneficial to many people. So it means many should take derive the benefit from that particular textbook. For this purpose, the Mangalacharana is offered. Now here at doubt may come, many times it is generally asked, see, such and such person has written a book, and he did offer the prayers, Mangalacharana he did, but we find that the person could not complete the textbook. In the case of Panchadasi I told, it may not be that, from the beginning itself the co-authorship might have been there, but there are some texts where the great masters have offered the prayers, but they were unable to complete the text or any particular work. So therefore, they conclude that Mangalacharana is not effective. Are they correct or not? So they have done the Mangalacharana. So, and what for Mangalacharana is done? To get away with the past obstruction. And yet, they have not succeeded. Means Mangalacharana doesn't help. Prayers do not help in such purpose. There may be many reasons for that. At times, Mangalacharana is done to get away with the past obstruction, that is true. But at times, the past pratibandhas may be so strong and the impact of your or the momentum of your prayer may not be that much powerful to counteract the past possible. So prayer means it depends on the Shraddha, etc. It is there. Or the force of the past obstacle may be very great that this is not possible for this prayer to counteract, etc. But anyway, it is not a valid argument to say that prayers don't work. No doubt at times prayers are not answered. But many times if the prayers are not answered and if they are sincere prayers offered with Shraddha and yet they are not offered, you conclude that not answering of the prayer is for your good only. Because at times your fulfillment of something may in the long run may not be good for you. Ishvara knows better what is better for you than you know for yourself. So therefore, in not answering prayers also at times, so there is something good. It is out of kindness by Ishvara only the answer, prayers may not be answered for the good of the individual. Anyway, so they are here. So that is, and also to put before the people a Shishtachara. Shishtachara is a convention, means the etiquette that before some great noble work is being started, we should offer the prayer. Because, for example, person like Vidyaranya Muni, of his stature, what he was, so he need not offer the prayers as such. In fact, prayers are necessary for chota fellows only. A person who, actually after Shankaracharya, Vidyaranya Muni is a person who is of such a high stature, means not equal to Shankaracharya, but still of high stature in Vedanta, Vidyaranya Muni only. So, but prayers, one who is at one ment with the truth, for him prayers are not necessary. It is said, Sarvada sarvakaleshu nasti tesham amangalam yesham hridisto bhagavan mangalayatanam hari. You offer prayer, you invoke the blessing of the Lord. For what? To ward off the obstructions, to ward off the amangala, is it not? Now who has got the knowledge of truth, knowledge of oneself, what is the amangala from his standpoint? What is the obstruction from his vision? Why? There is nothing. Because from his vision, everything is nothing but Lord and Lord only. Everything is nothing but Brahma and Brahma. From the ultimate standpoint, if he is rooted in that vision, from his standpoint, everything is nothing but the Lord, everything nothing but the Brahma. There is nothing Vigna, there is nothing Amangala, everything is for him Mangala Swarupa, Lord only. For him, where is the question of offering prayer? Sarvada sarvakaleshu nasti tesham amangalam. Tesham, for those people, sarvada. So, everywhere, sarvakaleshu, at all periods of time, tesham amangalam nasti. There is nothing called amangala at all. There is nothing called inauspicious thing. Who are those people? Yesham hridisto bhagavan mangalayatanam hari. Yesham Bhagavan Mangalayatanam Hari, the Hari, the Lord, so who is Mangalayatana. Mangalayatana means the very abode of Mangala, who is Paramananda Swarupa. So the Mangalayatanam Hari, Yesham Hridisthaha, abiding in whose Hridaya, Antakarana, means from his vision, from their discovery, everything is nothing but the Lord and Lord only. There is nothing other than the Mangala Swarupa, Lord. For them, there is a question of any amangala so that they can offer the prayer. Certainly Vidyaranya Muni fits in this category. Then why does he offer the prayer? For Shishtachara. Shishtachara, just to set forth an ideal in front of others. If he doesn't do, what his Shishyas will do? Our Guru did not offer prayer, so let us not also do that. Yadadacharati shreshtaha tattadevetaro janaha. So therefore, just to set an, that means a lesson, ideal before them, you might have offered, but it is a convention that it is offered. You see the first stanza. So besides Mangalacharana, this stanza also gives the subject matter of the text, Vishaya, and also Prayojana, the usefulness. What result, what phala, result are you going to get from this particular text? So other two aspects, because you see, in the case of any text, there are the four essential factors, what is called as Anubandha Chatushtaya. Anubandha Chatushtaya, Vishaya, Prayojana, Adhikari and Sambandha. So what is the subject matter of the textbook? So what is the Prayojana? So what is the usefulness of this? Because so phalam anuddishya mandopi na pravartate. Without, that means keeping an eye on the results, even a foolish person will not engage himself in any action. So therefore, what am I going to get by the study of this text? Prayojana. Then Adhikari. Who is the person who is kept in view? Who is the audience for this particular text called Panchadasi? So the Adhikari means the eligible person who can take to the study of this with much benefit. Adhikari. Sambandha. What is the relation between this textbook and the result to be gained? So those also are being given in the first and the second stanza. Actually all the four are not given. Sambandha we have to infer, but rest three are already given in this. So that is what the job of these two stanzas. So first the Mangalacharana, and means the prayers are offered, and thereafter the Vishaya Prayojana also is intended. First stanza. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane Savila Samaha Moha Graha Garasaika Karmane. Namaha. So Namaha, my salutation. So Namaha, whom do that means salutations offered to whom? Then Namaha means Namaskaraha astu. Let there be my salutation, that is prostration. So Pravhi Bhavaha. So the supplicant attitude, like the surrendering as declared. So my salutation. Now Kasmai Namaha. So whom the salutations are offered? So they are offered to Sri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmani. And to this, the big compound, we will see that word by word we will see. So actually what it means is, so to the lotus feet of the Guru Shankarananda. That's what is the meaning is, my salutation to the lotus feet of the Guru Shankarananda. By the by, Shankarananda was the Guru of Vidyaranya. He was also the Shankaracharya of Sringeri Mutt. So he was the Guru of that. Of course, earlier, before this is after Sannyasa Diksha. Earlier, Bharati Tirtha also was Guru of Vidyaranya. Bharati Tirtha was the Guru in the Purvashrama. So, whereas in Vedanta case, the Shankarananda was the Guru of Vidyaranya. So, to Guru Shankarananda. Who is the Shankarananda? Sri Shankarananda. So first let us see this word Sri Shankarananda. Sri Shankara. Shriya Yuktaha Shankaraha Sri Shankara. Shankara, who is endowed with Sri. So what is Sri now? So wealth, no? Acha, Shankara, who was endowed with lot of money. So no, this is Shriya. Here Sri means here we can take as Brahma Vidya. Shriya Brahma Vidyaya Yuktaha. The Shankara who is endowed with Sri. So Sri Brahma Vidya. That is because highest wealth is Brahma Vidya. Other wealth maybe that is for Vyavahara it is necessary. But the real wealth is Brahma Vidya only. Shriya Brahma Vidyaya Yuktaha. So one who is endowed with the Sri, the Brahma Vidya. So that is Sri Shankara. Now what is meant by Shankara? Sham karoti iti Shankara. Sham, what is Sham? Sham niratishya anandam. Karoti prapayati. So the one who confers, karoti means does means prapayati. One who confers the Sham. Sham is Sham Sukham also, Sham Sukham, Niratishaya Anandam. So one who confers the limitless Ananda. So Sham Karoti iti Shankara. One who confers the limitless Ananda. So he is Shankara. How does he confer? So this Shankara, how does he confer the limitless Ananda? So by giving the knowledge of oneself. If he gives another way, it is not going to last long. So therefore it is like this. See, Katham sham niratisya anandam prapayati. It is like this. So ashesha dukkhon mulaka jnanotpadanena. Jnanopadeshin. So ashesha dukkhon mulaka jnanopadeshena. So anandam prapayati. So by jnanopadesha, by the upadesha of the jnana, what type of knowledge? Ashesha dukkhon mulaka. So that which uproots totally the dukkha. Because its sorrow can be removed by means, but that cannot be the guarantee that sorrow will not return again. So when the sorrows can be totally destroyed? Only in the wake of knowledge that, what knowledge? I am Ananda Swarupa and sorrow can never touch me. And if at all it appears to be there, some error is there on my part. Some mistake I have committed about myself. So that is the vision of Vedanta. However the person, the most miserable person may be, even now, any moment he wants to commit suicide. From the vision of Vedanta, he is Ananda Swarupa. All that Vedanta has to tell you, my dear sir, please have an open mind and inquire and discover yourself to be the Ananda Swarupa. Not that it is the blessing of someone, etc. It is verily your real nature. Somehow you have disowned it. For heaven's sake, discover for yourself. It's not Vedanta gives you something. Suppose you had a lot of money in your pocket, let us say 15,000 liquid cash was there. And you went to the market and you wanted immediately some money to purchase something very urgent, important thing as such. And you forgot that you have got so much of money in your pocket. So and you are thinking of borrowing from someone. If a friend is available, you can borrow from him. So friend happened to come there. And somehow he knew that day you are carrying that. And when he asked money, hey, what are you doing? See, in your pocket it is there. Now did he give you the money? No. He just made you recognize that you have already got the money with you. That is your money also was there in your pocket. So like that, Vedanta makes you discover that you are nothing but Ananda Swarupa. Of course, for that right attitude must be there, right frame of mind must be there, preparation of the mind must be there, and one has to inquire and discover for oneself. So therefore, so Sham Karoti, that means Sham Prada means Viratisya Anandam Prapayati. How? Ashesha Dukkhon Mulaka. So Jnanopadeshena. By giving the Upadesha of the knowledge which totally destroys the sorrow, because one's Swarupa and the real nature itself is Ananda. So that way, one who does, that means one who gives the one Sham Karoti, so he is Sri Shankaraha. The word is Sri Shankarananda. Sri Shankaraha cha asau Anandaha cha Sri Shankaranandaha. So one who is both Sri Shankaraha and Anandaha. So that is Sri Shankaranandaha. So now what is that Anandaha? Ananda is Param Brahma. Brahma Swarup. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. So Ananda is Brahma Swarupa. So therefore, one who is Sri Shankara and the Ananda, the Brahma Swarupa, means Sri Shankarananda we can take as Brahma Bhavam Apannaha. Finally we can take Sri Shankarananda as the one who is Brahma Bhavam Apannaha. So one who has already gained the status of Brahma. What do you mean by gaining the status of Brahma? One who has discovered himself to be nothing but Ananda Swarupa Brahma. So that way Sri Shankarananda can be taken as the Guru of Vidyaranya, and Vidyaranya offers the salutations to his Guru. Or Sri Shankarananda, this word can be taken, Sri Shankara can be taken as the Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, Ananda can be taken as the Jiva Swarupa. We will see this way. That is like this. Shankaraha, as we have seen, So Niratishayaha Sukhakari. So the one who gives Niratishaya Sukha, Niratishayaha Sukhakari, Jnani Lokasya Paramatma. The Paramatma, the Lord of Jnani, the Lord of the Jnani people, the Paramatma Sarupa Shiva. So the Shiva, you see, Shiva means Mangala. In Shiva there is nothing amangala. They say for Shiva word you need not add the epithet Sri. Sri Vishnu, Sri Krishna, Sri Ramachandra, fine. Sri Shiva you need not. Of course it may be added, but you need not. Why? Because Shiva itself means Mangala Sarupa. Because the word, this is only word wise, okay? Don't say that Vishnu is not Mangala Sarupa and Krishna is not Mangala Sarupa. Not that way. We are just talking from the standpoint of the word. So therefore, the Shiva word itself contains the Mangala Sarupa. So therefore, Sri need not be added also as well. So therefore, Sri Shankara, Shankaraha, Niratishaya Sukhakari, Jnani Lokasya Paramatma. It is also said as Esha Hevanandayati. So any Ananda in the world is on account of whom? This Paramatma only. So the Lord means we can take Sri Shankara as the Paramatma, the Lord only. Then Ananda, what is Ananda? Ananda is the Jiva Swarupa. So if you ascertain the real nature of Jiva, it is nothing but Paramananda Swarupa. Even here also it will be, that means Shodhita Jiva Swarupa. Shodhita means ascertain, inquired and ascertain the real, whatever, when the real nature of the Jiva is inquired and ascertained, it is nothing but Paramananda only. In the 8th stanza of this very chapter is going to come, Iyamatma Paranandaha is going to come. First, so what is being done is, what is the real nature of me, I, is ascertained as Samvit. Samvit means the knowledge principle, the Chaitanya Swarupa knowledge principle. And afterwards the Samvit word is feminine in the gender, so therefore Iyam Samvit Atma Paranandaha. This Samvit which has been ascertained so far is Atma and its nature is Parananda. How it is Parananda, limitless Answarupa will be also be established. So therefore Sri Shankaraha Paramatma, Anandaha stands for the Jiva Swarupa, means Sri Shankaraha cha asau Anandaha means in both ways. In Samanadikarana is there, let's see afterwards Samanadikarana what is it. So therefore it means Jiva Brahma Aik. So the Jiva in reality is not different from Brahma. So both are one and the same. So because Sri Shankaraha and Anandaha both are in the nominative case. So the words are different, but the nominative case, so which means Samanadikarana. So Bhinna Pravrutti Nimittanam Padanam. So Ekasmin Pinde Arthe Tatparyam Samanadikaranam. The words Bhinna Pravrutti Nimittanam Padanam. The words which have got Bhinna Pravrutti, which have got different meanings. For the words which have different meanings. So Ekasmin Pinde Arthe Tatparyam. That essence means they finally end in only one meaning. So that is what is called Samanadikaranam. So therefore Sri Shankaraha and Anandaha, those two different words finally connote one and the same entity in the real nature of the Jiva. So therefore, because of that also you can take. So Sri Shankarananda explains the identity between the Paramatma, the Lord, and the individual. So that way also you can take. So Sri Shankarananda Saha Eva Guruhu. The Guru Sri Shankarananda, so or Paramatma also, he only is the Guru. Then Padambu Janmani, so unto his lotus feet Namaha. So my salutation, Padambu Janmani, will take tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.